I want you all to imagine that you're an ex-pro boxer of note. You have one of the best careers in the heavyweight division of any fighter of all time. And someone comes to you in your late 50s and says to you, I'll give you $20 million to spar a YouTuber. Would you do it? We'd all do it. I don't blame Mike Tyson one bit for taking this fight, but I want us all to understand exactly what's going on here and exactly what this is. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Guy Called Henry. In this video, I want to just very quickly cover this fight for the final time before we do the live stream. I'll probably do a little reaction afterwards, but this will be my final video in anticipation of the matchup between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Now in this video, what I really want to cover is what are the things that we just don't know? What are the intangibles here? What do we not have the answers to? Because I've made a couple of videos in the build up to this, and the comments on it have been absolutely insane to me. Just crazy stuff. And I'd heard before how fanatical Mike Tyson fans can be, but honestly, the lack of objectivity in this group of people is ridiculous. I've had my credentials and credibility questioned, which has never really happened before on YouTube. And it's because, you know, they want to call into doubt anything I say that might question where Mike Tyson is currently at this stage in his life, question the authenticity of this fight, question whether Jake Paul can actually go and win this fight, because it's such an unthinkable reality if you're a Mike Tyson fan that he might actually have aged and he might not actually have that much left and he might actually lose to a YouTuber. Now, before I get into this one, I've actually even had it questioned whether or not I do any boxing. So I train weekly boxing. I spar from time to time, and I study the sport religiously. I watch all the fights. I try and slow things down, understand. If you watch my channel regularly, you'll see I do a lot of tactical analysis and breakdowns. If you still don't think I understand boxing after that, then that's completely fine by me. I don't have to justify myself to anyone. But actually, what I have been thinking about doing, and this is really one for the regular viewers, if you're interested, is doing a training like a pro series. So I'm going to diet like a pro. I'll go and train like a pro, and then I'll have a series of sparring sessions where basically the fighters go up in level. I don't have time to fight because I'll have to make weight and stuff like that. And frankly, I've got a business I run outside of this. I don't really have time at this point in my life to be doing things like that. But if that series is something you guys would be interested in seeing, please do get in the comments section below and let me know. I'd be very happy to do it. I think it'd be really, really fun. It's just, I've got to know that the time commitment's going to be worth it, that I'll actually get the returns in terms of viewership and stuff like that to justify it, because it would be a big commitment. Even just the editing process would take a long time. Please bang a like on the video, please subscribe if you're new, and please get in the comment section below, how do you feel about this fight? So the first thing that we don't know about this fight, and the biggest question that we've been trying to answer, and I tried to answer in my video that popped off the other day, is how much does Mike Tyson have left? Can he sustain effort? What's his cardio like? What's his speed like? What's his balance like? What's his punch resistance like? There's been quite a lot of training footage going out, but it's all so incredibly heavily edited, as was evidenced by the footage I showed you where the stopwatch only showed one round. Now that we don't know, as I said in the video, we don't know if that was just one round or if he was just resetting the stopwatch. But for sure, that footage was very heavily edited, and everything that we've seen has been heavily edited, except for the open workout. Now, people were getting very excited by that open workout. They were getting very excited about how Mike Tyson was looking. I'm going to be really honest with you. It didn't excite me at all. He looked exactly as I thought he would, which was like a much older, much slower, much more stiff, much less balanced version of Mike Tyson from when he was in his prime. And sure, that style is still there. Some of the attributes remain, but they're all significantly diminished. The real question is, how diminished are they? To what extent is Mike Tyson declined? You know, can Jake Paul actually beat him because he's so declined? Because look, I am not for 1 second saying that Jake Paul can live for even a minute with prime Mike Tyson, but guys, this isn't prime Mike Tyson. This isn't even, you know, Mike Tyson that lost 20 years ago. This might not even be Mike Tyson from the exhibition fight with Roy Jones, which, by the way, guys, yes, I did know that was an exhibition. I said it in my video if you actually listened, but some of you were flipping out, going on about how, oh, this guy doesn't even know it was an exhibition. This guy didn't know they weren't doing headshots and all this stuff. Well, frankly, it doesn't invalidate anything I'm saying. Yeah, all right, fine. I didn't realize that they'd done an agreement for no headshots, but it was definitely an exhibition fight. I said that. And as such, as someone who watches proper boxing, who actually watches the sport with the interest in the results, who's the world champion, who moves, who's a contender in the division, that is what interests me. So yes, I didn't realize that there was no headshots in that fight, but it doesn't surprise me. I said it was an exhibition, which always means that it's not actually people really trying. So I think that's implied. Anyway, enough of that. The point is, we don't know what Mike Tyson has left. I'm sure he can still punch very hard, but what concerns me is how he gets his feet into position to actually punch, how good his stamina is, etc., etc. Now, I opened this video by saying that if you were Mike Tyson, if you were a former fighter of note that had been essentially offered all this money, it's like $20 million I think he's making, to go and spar a YouTuber, you would take it. And when you look at the rules of this, it's not far off that. Because you get hard spars all the time where people can go as hard as they want and the spar will be stopped if someone gets hurt. But they're using 14-ounce gloves, which are not 16, not 18, but, padded enough. They're 4 ounces heavier than the 10s, and that makes a big difference. Also, they're 2-minute rounds, and it's a 10-round fight. So, normally it would be 12 threes with 10-ounce gloves. So, essentially, it's a glorified sparring session, in my opinion. That's what I can read from this. That is some of the only facts that we actually have about whether or not this fight is real. And best believe there are plenty of fights that happen that are not real, especially in this world of exhibition matchups and entertainment. So, and even boxing, I made this point before, even in the main circuit with professional fighters, the role of the journeyman is not to go in there and win a fight. The role of the journeyman is to bring through the prospect, give him rounds, and give him experience. So even in professional boxing, to a degree, there is an element of we've already decided how this is going to play out, how this is going to go. And those guys just aren't supposed to win. They don't go in there to try and win. They go in there to move the prospect around and give them experience, bulk their record up, and then that journeyman can then go and fight the next week and the next week, and that's how they make their money. So as I say, we don't know where Mike's at physically, and we don't know if there's a pre-fight agreement of some sort, and we don't even know if it's a real fight. So those are the details that are factual. None of you can say you know the answers to these questions because I've looked everywhere, I've looked for all signs, we haven't got a bloody clue. We just don't know. My question to you though, you people out there that are backing this fight, that are keen on this fight, is what are you going to say if Mike Tyson gets hurt in this fight? What are you going to say if Jake Paul wins? Are you going to say it was a fixed fight? How are you going to deal with this? Because at the end of the day, we have to be realistic. Jake Paul can win this fight because Mike Tyson is so old. I don't understand how people can't get their heads around this. And I think there's a demographic of people that can't accept the reality of aging. That can't accept the reality of you're not always going to be what you are today. And for people that have got older, they can't accept that they've aged and they've deteriorated and they're not who they once were. And also, there's been a few people commenting on my videos saying, you're too young, I'm an older guy, I can still spar and do all this stuff. You're not Mike Tyson, mate. You didn't go and live the insane life he lived. So we all age at different speed. It's evident in professional boxing that, guys peak at different stages, guys are done at different stages, and Mike Tyson really lived life. Like, he lived to the max. He was, he went crazy on the drugs. He was with all sorts of women. He lived a super intense lifestyle, and he's a million miles past his best. His best was when he was in the 80s, for God's sake. So I just can't quite get my head around these people that are coming out and being like, yeah, it's so clear that that Tyson will destroy Jake. It's not clear. He might destroy Jake because he might land that one shot, which I'm sure he still has in his locker. But also, Jake Paul wouldn't be taking this fight if he didn't think he could win it, because that guy is a smart businessman, and this is all about business. I think the whole thing is completely farcical, if I'm honest with you. I think the whole thing is a massive cash grab. I do not blame Mike Tyson for doing that because, as I say, the way it will have been positioned to him, in my opinion, is, you've got to do everything you can to hype this up. But essentially, what is this? It's a glorified sparring session. You might get stopped. I think it is, my interpretation of this is that it will be real, but Mike will probably back himself to be able to get through it, and maybe even knock Jake Paul out. Look, I don't really know what Mike's true thoughts and feelings are. There's so much here we just don't understand and don't know. But if I have to say what I think is happening here, is that I think it's, Mike will look at it and go, it's 10 2-minute rounds, it's 14-ounce gloves, it's a guy who's not really got any pedigree in boxing, who can punch, sure, and it is fit to a degree, although I've seen Jake Paul gas a fair bit in his fights. So I think he'll look at it and go, yeah, I can probably get through that and maybe even stop him. And I think that Jake Paul, of course, he's making $40 million. Why on earth would he not do it? He's hyped it in a way where if he loses, he'll be like, well, it's Mike Tyson, he's got all that experience, he's a heavyweight, I'm not actually a heavyweight. There's so many caveats. But at the same time, if he wins, I don't see any benefit to him in actually knocking Mike out. I think the smart thing in terms of PR would be to carry Mike through the fight, to outbox him and to hurt him. And, people saying he can't outbox him. Of course, from a technical point of view, he can't. But he might just be that much fitter that he can. And I'm not ruling that out. I'm not ruling anything out. I'm not ruling out a Tyson knockout. I'm not ruling out a Jake Paul knockout. I'm not ruling out a DQ. I'm not ruling out a Mike Tyson injury that ends the fight early. I'm not ruling out a point swim one way or the other. Because we just don't know. I'm not ruling out a draw. This could be a fixed draw. So anything can happen here. Literally anything. I've got no prediction to make because I haven't got a clue. I have no idea what's going to happen. But based on the fact that Mike Tyson is that old, and based on the fact that Jake Paul is the business guy here, and there could easily be some kind of pre-fight agreement, I think Jake Paul will probably win. But will he actually win? I think the official result will be a win. But overall, I can't wait for this thing to be done because it's a load of crap. I'm covering it because it's massive, and hopefully these videos are going to do some good numbers and get more people to the channel. So that's the only reason I'm covering this. There's a proper World Championship fight this weekend between Chris Smith and Zurdo Ramirez. And I'm not even covering it because the numbers are so small, it's not worth my time. And frankly, that's kind of depressing to me. So I'd much rather be covering an actual world championship fight. But here we are. You know, if I want to move this channel forward, that's what I've got to do, and I accept that. But regardless, I hope you've all enjoyed the video. I hope you can all understand where I'm coming from. And I hope that some of you that are being super aggressive with your take that Mike Tyson's easily going to destroy Jake Paul can see that, you know, you might need to just reel that in a little bit because you haven't got a clue what's about to get into the ring in the form of Mike Tyson. And you haven't got a clue what the rules are in terms of, you know, we know it's 14 ounces, we know it's 10-2s, but we haven't got a clue if there's been any behind the scenes agreements, if there's any caveats in the contracts. You can't see these contracts, they're not public information. So this whole thing's completely insane. And I do feel that Netflix, being the massive organization that they are, they wouldn't be getting involved without some kind of reputational safeguarding. Because imagine if Mike Tyson got seriously hurt in this fight, you know, injured to the point where he was in hospital, or, you know, even worse, something really terrible happened to him. That would be awful for their organization. So I'm leaning towards there being some kind of caveat in there. Maybe not that it's not a real fight, but maybe they're going to agree to not try and knock each other out. If one of them gets hurt, they'll lay off a bit. And I don't know, that would just not surprise me at all. Anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed this video. And as I always say, on to the next one.